Welcome to the I-80 Club and another National Fun League. Week 2 in the books. Josh Peterson and Mike Schaefer of Husker 24/7 Sports joining you as we do on our new day and time this season, Tuesday mornings at 7:45 a.m. Mr. Schaef, how are you today?
I'm good. I think Tuesday is a good move for us. You get all the games in. We get all the conversation. We can kick it forward to next week. We cut down the time in between NFL discussion or NFL games by a day. I mean, then it's really just Wednesday where there's no NFL. And we talk to each other on Wednesdays, so we can force some NFL there too. We just have NFL all week long. Is this
like a life hack for you and me where it's like the NFL is almost every day, or NFL or friendship almost every day is kind of what you and I are aiming for.
I don't know what Fridays have in store for us necessarily, but we'll figure something out. There's some Friday games this year. There was one already. There'll be some later in the year, I'm sure. So
that is true.
Obviously,
that is true.
We're gonna have that covered. So that'll be great.
We will indeed. Like and a subscribe to the I-80 Club YouTube page. We would very much appreciate. Also, a subscription to Husker 24/7 Sports, a great website which I go to each and every day. You can go check out what Schaef and BC and Brunts are doing over there with lots of football coverage. And I hear the Hypecast guest this week, Schaef, is a very handsome, well-reasoned, good-take individual. So I'm looking forward to whoever this person may be when that episode comes out later this week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who that is as well. That doesn't describe who I'm pretty sure our guest is for the Michigan week.
Does it describe anybody in the Nebraska media, Schaef?
When you started with handsome, it immediately,
Oh, do we have one of those?
Like, someone coming from, do I have a national guy this week? Did I screw something up? What happened?
David writes, "Go NFL, go NFL." Indeed, though I don't think Schaef is feeling that way. We'll do.
No. I mean, unlike you, I don't allow my team's just awfulness to completely sabotage my interest and enjoyment in the NFL entirely. So,
good.
Whereas you wanted to cancel this podcast all the way up until Brandon Aubrey made that field goal to which I almost called entirely, by the way.
Such a beast.
It was only off by a total of a yard there.
Yeah, but we were texting a lot towards the end of that game because that
was a game of the weekend.
It was, and there were other things involved. We'll talk about that in a moment. I did want to start, though, with last night real fast, because you told me right before we got going that you didn't make it because of the Raiders, like the Raiders being the Raiders, essentially. So we went up to bed, and we had the game on, and I don't know, have you read anything this morning? Do you know what happened in the third and the fourth quarter in this game?
No, I just know the score finished 20-9. Like I said, I was like just paying for the Crawford fight from Saturday and everything else. And I just couldn't do it. Like I wanted to, I just couldn't. And so I tapped out at halftime, and with every intention of like, I'll fall asleep for like 15 minutes and I'll wake up and check the score, and didn't wake up till like 1 a.m. So,
well, you made a good decision, because here was the last drive that I saw, and it ended with 11:15 to go in the game. 19 plays, 62 yards, 11:15 off the clock. And then the Raiders kicked a field goal to go down by 11 points.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude, that was the last drive that I saw. And because I told Riss, I said, this is going to be my last drive, and I'm going to go to bed. And when they kicked the field goal, I said, I just made an excellent decision. Why would I stay up and watch the rest of this game? They don't think they're going to win. I don't think that they are going to win. They had 9 points. They had like so few minutes left in the football game, and they kick a field goal. What on earth were they thinking in that moment?
Also, how do you 19 play drive for 62 yards?
Dude, and it wasn't like the slop fest of, I don't know if you saw the first Giants drive of the game on Sunday, where they also took about the same number of plays, and they also drove the same number of yards. But that's because they had 1,000 penalties on their left tackle, who I believe on that drive alone picked up 40 or 45 yards of his own. He had 4 penalties, multiple personal fouls. This wasn't that. This was just dinking and dunking and dinking and there was a penalty or two in there, if I remember right, but it was not like what happened with the Giants on Sunday. Absolutely brutal.
The Giants the week before had the drive where I sent you the text about how it's like it's a Russell Wilson drive because it's like 15 plays for 55 yards and a field goal. And it's like, oh yeah, that seems like Russell Wilson. But then a totally different Russell Wilson showed up for the weekend.
He starts bombing the ball. Yeah, so let's
I guess that the Cowboys secondary showed up. Either one of those.
That is what happened. Let's talk about that, because usually on this pod we lead with the Vikings. Last year we led with the Vikings every week as they were on their way towards a 14-3 start.
Now the reason that you don't want to do the pod anymore comes out.
No,
I love talking about the Vikings.
I love talking about the Vikings. I feel terrible for you. I feel terrible for my brother Luke. I actually was doing a phone call with him. All of the siblings and the wives were chatting last night for a little bit, and we talked about the Vikings. And he is an early to bed kind of guy, Schaef. And so the last 2 weeks have done a number on him, but they've also done a number on his wife, who said, "I don't like that the Vikings keep airing in primetime." So anyway, we'll save them for a little bit later. I've had a bad feeling about this Cowboys Giants game. I had one coming into the season for like months. Now, part of that was my wallowing and my sadness and my depression, and then they trade Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers, who I don't know if I told you, I moved them to 2 now on my rankings of most hated teams. Congratulations to the Giants and Commanders and Steelers. They have now fallen, the Packers, up to number 2. There is still one team to go, of course. I don't think.
I don't know that they're going to jump the team that's at number 1. I don't know what would have to happen for. I guess if like they brought in Tony Romo as coach or something. Like I don't know, what would be the next level that the Packers could possibly do to you after multiple embarrassments in the playoffs. Now the Micah Parsons trade. The fact that you're really good. Your really good friend is a Packers fan, so you have to hear about it endlessly.
Yeah. I think the entire group chat is getting annoyed with him and saying, "Do you have Packer friends? You could text them. You don't need to text us about the Packers. Just text your group of friends about the Packers."
Amazing.
Schaef, I've been thinking about it, and now look, I'm already turning this away from the Cowboys into my wallowing. An NFC championship featuring those 2 teams would be among the worst things that I have ever experienced in life. So let's really hope that the Lions continue to climb. Go Lions, everybody. We're rooting for the Lions. So anyway, I was viewing this.
Disgusting.
I was viewing this game, not excited for it, and I've been most concerned, like in all seriousness, about Dallas. Very concerned about the defense. I thought the offense was going to be able to move the ball up and down the field. I thought the running game would be solid because the line is solid without a game breaker. I've been pretty pleasantly surprised by Javonte Williams so far this year. But I thought CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens on the outside. Ferguson, who I definitely think I overrated immensely a couple years ago, still a solid tight end, not what I was hoping for. I thought that they would have to move the ball up and down the field because they would be unable to make stops. But wow, Schaef, I did not see Sunday coming where Russell Wilson is turning back the clock to, circa 8 years ago, just chucking it deep over and over and over. But when you have the cheat code that is Brandon Aubrey, you know how the Eagles have the cheat code of you just got to get to 3rd and 8 and you're going to be okay? The Cowboys have the cheat code of, I don't know, get to the 47-yard line on your side of the field and you're probably going to be okay. It's absolutely wild. I cannot believe that they won that game, given that they gave up the last touchdown, with just a few seconds remaining in the game. But thankfully, the Giants played off on defense a little bit, allowed them to pick up some yards, and then Brandon Aubrey kicked a 64-yard field goal. They did a draw in a set to get it just a little bit closer, and he still drained it. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that kick was just like dead solid perfect too. Like it didn't move. It wasn't going anywhere else. It probably would have been good from even longer.
I think it would have been good from 75. They showed it from the crossbar side, and it was so high up the goalpost still.
Like absolutely insanity. That he can do that, and then to do it and show almost like no concern, no nerves. And then he kicks a game winner. Same thing. Like just. There's no concern there. And it was a much shorter kick, but just an incredible weapon that they get to utilize. It does make you wonder if you're Brian Schottenheimer, like in a regular run of things, what is your distance that you're willing to let him kick from? Because if he can make it from 65 with the game on the line, are you just doing that now every opportunity that you get? Like, is he going to have like double-digit kick attempts from 60? Because Maher had already like set a record for such things, and then now the next guy for the Cowboys is just going to come along and do this. Is the air thin in Dallas? Are they doing something at Jerry's World to make the ball travel a little bit further? Do we need to investigate this?
They are playing this year in Denver, And so watch out for the thin air at Mile High. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. I did see a stat the other day. Let's see. Here it is. He has now tied the all-time mark for most 60-plus yard field goals in NFL history with Brett Maher. He is 4 of 6 from 60-plus in his career. They did attempt. I don't know if you remember it. Last year they played Washington in Washington. And the Cowboys won that game, and they had him at the end of the first half, I believe, attempt like a 70-yarder. Now, that was weird because, like, the weather was terrible. You know, it wasn't like a good day. I think that they are going to attempt a 70-yarder in the friendly confines at some point this year, and I think he's going to make it, you know, which would obviously set the record by multiple yards.
He's certainly got the ability to do so.
Yeah. He's insane, man. Like, I don't know if you watched the end of the Georgia-Tennessee game on Saturday, but their kicker came out and looked like he was going to poop his pants. The frightened look on that man's
Tennessee
face.
Kicker?
Yeah, he just looked so nervous. And you compare that to I almost said Maher, to Brandon Aubrey, and he walks out just like there's nothing going on in the day. Like, oh, what am I having for dinner tonight? And he absolutely drained it. And the effortlessness of his kicking motion, I don't think will ever get normal to me. You know, this is the third year watching him kick, and just how short of a what do you call it? Whatever you call when you kick it. Like, he doesn't take many steps, and then he just absolutely smokes the football. Pretty incredible.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it is a massive weapon for them to have. If they weren't the Cowboys, it would be a really huge advantage in games. But
if they weren't the Cowboys,
they are the Cowboys, so you do have to worry about it. So they escape with a win here.
Yeah, and I got the Bears on Sunday.
Yeah, what is this guy? You could be 2-1 playing the worst team in the NFL.
Yikes!
Coming up with
suck.
Chicago.
Yeah,
where they're coming off of 5 straight horrendous quarters. After at least one really good one, and then 2 so-so, and then 5 terrible. It's potentially 2-1. You got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, sure, why not? You know, it's in the league this year with a lot of quarterbacks now suddenly injured, you know, and you wonder what's going on. Jaden Daniels, is he going to play this weekend, and how long is that going to be something that bothers him? Obviously, we know about what's going on with your Vikings now. Your quarterback's going to be out for a few weeks. Not that he's played great so far this year. And you just look around and, like, the schedule, I mean, Schaef, it does look fairly manageable over the next few weeks.
We're here, folks. It took one win. He's talking himself into it. Bad defense and all. What if this offense can just score enough? And Brandon Aubrey only needs to be able to make a dozen 60-yard field goals, and this team has an opportunity to put up like 31 points a game. Maybe they give up 28, but that's still gonna, you're still gonna win more often than not there.
That's the thing. The offense is going to have to carry the day, and Dak is going to have to play at a very high level. And he did. He made some incredible throws on Sunday. The all-22 footage was going around yesterday among some of the Cowboys people that I follow. And Schaef, I'm going to have to send it to you, that he had this throw to Pickens. I think it was in overtime. It was right before the game winner. That I still cannot believe that he was able to make this throw. And, man, watching from behind, it really gives you an extra appreciation of what the quarterbacks are able to do in the NFL. But like you said, they're going to have to do that every week. And I don't think it's going to be sustainable. You know, like when they play a good defense, all they got to do is get a couple stops. I mean, hell, they got off to such a sluggish start in this game that it required them to essentially score touchdowns on every drive in the third and the fourth quarter. And then both teams kind of bogged down a little bit in overtime. But they have the Bears. Then the Packers game will obviously be brutal. Jets, Panthers, Commanders, Broncos, Cardinals. Those are the games before the bye week, coming up in early to mid-November. So if they beat
the Bears, the Jets, and the Panthers, they could be like 6-4 at the end of that stretch if they win a game against the Broncos or the Commanders, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then they're going to have to be that, because the last half of the season, they have the Eagles again. They have the Chiefs, though. Let's talk about them in a moment. The Lions, your Vikings, the Chargers, Commanders, and Giants. So, like, I guess part of this too, Schaef, comes down to how good is Washington. You know, like I pegged them for some regression this year. I think you did as well, right? You were
I didn't have them in the playoffs.
Yeah, neither. Yeah, so both of us had them taking a bit of a step back. It'll still be tough. Those games are always tough. But it's really how good are the Lions? How good are the Vikings? How good are the Chargers? I think the Chargers are good. I think we saw that again. They just kind of sucked the life out of that game last night. And, of course, they had the nice win over Kansas City in week 1. So, yeah, I mean, look, this is more fun than wallowing for an entire season.
Yeah.
Let's see if that continues. And I know you're excited because then that means the podcast is fun. At least you talking to me. Will it be fun, though, me talking to you this season with how the Vikings looked in that tough one on Sunday night?
Well, I mean, it'll be fun as people get to watch me go through watching a billionaire version of Will Levis, because that's what JJ McCarthy looks like right now, just sort of running around completely and utterly confused by what he's seeing, but also sort of fearless to the point that it's stupid. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the JJ McCarthy experience so far. He looks like someone that has had no business starting NFL games at this point in his career. Like, you can see there's definitely tools there, but he also can't read. Like, he looks like he can't read a defense. He has no idea pre-snap where the pressure is coming from, which is a little concerning.
Yeah.
Like, obviously the offensive line didn't play great, and there's 3 backups that were playing at the end of that Falcons game. And so that makes it, you're down to 2 starters out of your offensive line and 3 guys that are in as backups there at a portion of it. That makes things a little bit more difficult, but also the amount of times before the snap that he's not able to diagnose where it's coming from so he can get the ball out quicker or whatever it is that he has to do is a little bit concerning. But it all goes back to what my biggest fear was with JJ McCarthy anyways, which is that he hadn't played that much football, and the football that he had played had been such kids' gloves or gave him such little responsibility to have to do that he was going to have to make a seismic jump for a roster that, frankly, if Sam Darnold is the quarterback right now, they're 2-0. If Kirk Cousins is the quarterback, they're 2-0. If Daniel Jones is the quarterback, they're 2-0.
Wow.
If Carson Wentz is the quarterback, they're probably 1-1. But so there is a level where it comes down, but that's the frustrating thing. It's like they made a pretty big bet on somebody and then played them 7 fucking snaps in the preseason.
Yeah.
Like
that's and I get it, right? Like, that's the rub of the preseason in the NFL is you need to get the reps, you need to get the snaps. He needed to get the reps and the snaps. You also don't want to get him hurt in the preseason.
He also has to show that he can play. Like, he already has a high ankle sprain. He missed all of last year with a torn meniscus after playing 7 snaps in a preseason game against, I think, the Raiders last year. Like, so then there's a part of me he's played in 5 games, I guess, in his entire NFL career. And he's come out of 2 of the 5 injured to the point where he's missing games. Like, again, and I don't want to make this about Kirk Cousins. The only time he ever missed a game for the Vikings in his time there was when he tore his literal Achilles on national television in a game in which they were kicking the Packers' ass. So, like, part of being a quarterback is having to be able to get through stuff. And obviously these injuries, like torn meniscus, bad luck. The high ankle sprain, this was a bet that you made, and then your backup quarterback is Carson Wentz. So what are you doing? You didn't want to
traded away Sam Howell you traded away, right?
You didn't want to re-sign Sam Darnold. You didn't want to pay to re-sign Daniel Jones. And maybe they didn't want to come here because they knew that you had JJ McCarthy, and that's its own issue. But this offseason just kind of looks like it has real disaster potential for a Vikings team that was set up to win a bunch of football games, even with just average quarterback play. But they've gotten the worst quarterback play in the league through 2 weeks. Yeah. And they still could have almost won both games. Like, that's the thing.
The problem, of course, like you just said what you did. Like, they are a very talented team, right? They have a lot of talented players. Now, Addison, of course, is out, and he has 1 game left on his suspension, right? Yep. So then he'll be back for week 4, which is one of the first games overseas for you, one of the first of 2. And so, like, that in theory should help. But, dude, there was that throw he had, I believe it was in the 4th quarter, it was late in the game, where Jefferson was open, and he just kind of skipped it to him. And, man, you could just tell that in that moment, Justin Jefferson is like he didn't blow up. He didn't yell at him, but that's going to happen at some point in time. Like
Yeah.
you can't miss him, you know? And like, so that's the thing. You can be as good and as talented, but the quarterback still has to get those guys the football if you're going to take advantage of this skill level talent that the Vikings are able to have. And then they cut to KOC on the sidelines, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like I can't do the job for you. I can't throw the football for you. It just, everybody seemed very frustrated in that exact moment.
The big moment last night was that they're hanging around. The Falcons go up by 9, and it's 3rd and 1, and Jalen Naylor is just wide open for a touchdown. Like, you have to put it anywhere near the area code, and it is a touchdown on a go route. And he overthrew him by like 12 yards. And he misses this throw that you have to be able to make in the NFL. Like, you have to be able to hit that throw. And then Kevin O'Connell punted. Like, he rage punted.
Yeah.
He was so mad that on 3rd and 1 in a game in which you're already down 2 scores, it's like kicking a field goal when you're down 20-6, I guess. Like you're not gonna do enough damage there to really help yourself here. And so they do this, and then the Falcons take like 9 minutes off the clock, and he lets them score a touchdown because it's still only going to be a 2-score game. Like, it was smart on O'Connell's part at that point of it, but it was very dumb not to go for it. And I think it was because he was so mad that his quarterback missed a throw that any number of, like, Sam Howell makes that throw. I mean, maybe he makes 17 terrible ones that you're not down 15-6 at that point, but he's able to make that throw. Like, it's just, the on-the-job learning is really, really difficult. And it's particularly difficult for O'Connell, who seems like he struggles to call plays for quarterbacks that aren't at a certain level. Like, we saw it with Josh Dobbs. He really and usually it's guys that have a little bit more athleticism, and he's precision pocket passing. Like, that's where Kevin O'Connell is making his money with Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. We kind of need to see how he can evolve as a play caller with a JJ McCarthy, because otherwise you have this elite sort of play caller and head coach that you're wasting because his quarterback can't run an offense the way that he needs to, which is kind of what's happening in Chicago for Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
So it's not great times around Minnesota.
Do you like that their bye week is so early in the year? So they have Cincinnati this week, then they have the 2 games overseas, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So you're about to go on this AFC North tour. And then they're off before Philadelphia. Do you like that it's that early where you can kind of take a step back, you can chill a little bit? Addison will have been back for a few games by that point in time, and you can kind of figure out, and I guess in theory, McCarthy is also back because he is going to be out for, 2 to 4 weeks? So I guess maybe he doesn't. God, imagine, Schaef, if that's true and he doesn't come back until Philly. Like, at least for you, it's a home game. You're not going to the link, but, I don't know. It's just really tough because he needs reps. He needs the opportunity.
Yeah,
and now he's going to miss the opportunity.
Yeah. You do this entire thing to give this guy the job, to basically just give him the job with all you saw was one preseason game and his career at Michigan, where in the biggest games he's handing the ball off because that's what they do. So, again, it's just dumbfounding that you leave yourself in a situation where your best backup option is Carson Wentz, who didn't even play all of last year. Or was he like the Chiefs backup?
He was with the Rams last year, and he played, I believe, in their week 18 game. Because talk about this with John and me tomorrow, but he is like, they got a good quarterback in Carson Wentz. And I'm like, bro, no, they do not have a good quarterback in Carson Wentz.
Well, and he can probably run what.
Never mind, he was with the Chiefs last year. He's with the Rams 2 years ago. My bad.
He can probably run what O'Connell wants him to run, and the other thing is, they can just get Jordan Mason downhill. But the biggest reason why the bye is good for the Vikings is they have all these injuries. I mean, they didn't have Andrew Van Ginkel. They didn't have Blake Cashman. They didn't have Christian Darrisaw last night. They lost their center during the game. They've lost Aaron Jones already, which was an absolutely idiotic signing again in the offseason. I loved Aaron Jones last year for the Vikings. He's a great clubhouse guy. He's a great, he tries hard. He also looks like he's his number's 33. He runs and acts like he's a 33-year-old running back. Like, he doesn't have the juice anymore. He's not, like Jordan Mason is their best running back. Everybody in that locker room knows it at this point. So Aaron Jones getting hurt makes it so they should be able to utilize Jordan Mason pretty well this next week against Cincinnati, a team where they should be able to run on. So, we'll see what they're able to cook up. But I think they can I think they could win any of these 3 games. I think they could lose all 3 of these games. I don't expect McCarthy back until the Eagles game. And even then, I think it'd be smart if they just like held him out until after you get through this Eagles-Chargers combination that they have. And then you just bring them back for the beginning of November, I guess.
Yeah.
Their schedule
it's not like that's easier.
Their schedule is insanely difficult. They almost needed to win this Falcons game just so that way, you get through these next 3 and maybe you're like 4-1 or 3-2, because everything after that is really tough for like 8 straight weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's like, you got a gift from the gods with Burrow being out this week for Cincinnati. The Steelers
They didn't play Burrow last time either. Jake Browning beat him when
man. Yeah.
when Nick Mullins managed to throw an interception to a defensive tackle who was laying on the ground.
Yeah, that's what a sentence.
And then the 2023 season was pretty brutal.
Yeah, that was not fun. You have the Steelers after that, then the Browns. So, a manageable stretch of football here.
Yep.
But good Lord, after that, Eagles, Chargers, Lions, Ravens. Oh, my gosh, that is hellacious. Absolutely hellacious. Both of our teams are playing the AFC North this year, and so it is very, very tough. Very, very tough when you were playing the AFC North. Or, excuse me, no. Cowboys are playing the – why did I think that?
I was going to say, that doesn't make any sense. They both
that is impossible. I don't know.
The Cowboys might have their Game 17 opponent might be from the AFC North.
Yeah.
Because that's how the Vikings end up drawing the Chargers, who might be the best team in the AFC West. Maybe it could be the best team in the AFC. I don't know if I would go that far, but
well, hey, let's use that as a jumping off point to talk about this. Matt asked a question. He says, maybe you already mentioned it, and we have not, Matt. We'll do it now. Which 0-2 teams do you think will end up making the playoffs? So, the big story, of course, coming out of this week, at least I think the big story, Schaef, is that the Chiefs are 0-2 and that they have not looked very good in either of the games. They are among a group of 10 teams: Giants, Titans, Browns, Bears, Panthers, Dolphins, Jets, Saints, Texans, and now Chiefs. So the Texans joined the club last night. Those are the 0-2 teams. And, to answer Matt's question, I think I would just go with them, though the Texans, I think, are a solid bet, depending on how
let's
much
just go through all of them. Can
Giants,
the Jets make the playoffs?
No.
We'll start with the AFC and work our way through. Jets make the playoffs? No.
Dolphins,
no.
Yeah,
Browns,
so
no.
Titans.
Texans,
yes, of course they can, because they're in the AFC South.
I'm going.
And I'm not buying in. I'm not buying into the Colts, for the record. I am not going to say, yeah, Daniel Jones is fine. No way. I'm not going to do this. It's week 2. People loved the Saints at this time last year. Let's take a chill pill.
I expected Jacksonville to win this division. And
me too.
Giving that game away on Sunday was annoying to me.
Yeah,
tough
look for us.
Titans, no.
Though they are fun to watch, I think, so far this year. And that's all the AFC teams, right?
Yeah, and Chiefs. Chiefs is a yes for us.
Yeah. Let's save the Chiefs for a moment. Saints, no, of course. Panthers, no. Giants, no. Bears, no. Right? We basically
Texans and the Chiefs.
And so the Chiefs fall. And okay, let me ask you this, because you and I both we still listen to Bill Simmons in the year of our Lord 2025. They talked about them, and they're like, yeah, the Chiefs will still be in the playoffs, and they'll still, look up in 2 months, and they'll be, 8-4 or whatever it is. Are we giving them too much respect, saying these types of things? Look, they have played 2 playoff teams, right? They have played, a team that I really liked coming into the year in the AFC West in the Chargers, and then of course they played the Super Bowl champs, who have also not really looked that good so far this year in terms of maybe. They're not the version they were in the playoffs, but it's also a long season. They weren't going to look like the January and February Eagles in September. But, are we idiots if we're like, yeah, of course the Chiefs are going to be just fine? Because the whole host of issues that they have, are not just going to disappear overnight. And all this, buzz or I don't know if it's gaslighting, Schaef, of, yeah, they're going to trade for Tyreek Hill, or maybe they're going to try to trade for Tyreek Hill. Would that even fix them at this point in time? I just don't know. I think we all need to take a step back, I guess, a little bit with the Chiefs and wonder aloud if things are going to be A-okay with the team this year.
Yeah, A-okay is tough because I think they're not set up to just kind of run through the league, and their schedule is relatively difficult. I think the toughest thing is with them, they can't run the football unless it's a Patrick Mahomes scramble. They don't really have any dynamic receivers or guys that seem to be dynamic enough to do things. Teams are still playing Mahomes, it seems like, with the shell coverage. So they're They're keeping everything largely in front of them. And I just, with that offensive line being as bad as it is,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, difficult for them to have a ton of upside. Now, they're still going to be dangerous in that they still seem like they will do the right things to keep themselves in games. They've lost by 6 and 4 points, so it's not like they've been blown out.
Yep.
The defense has been solid, but I don't think it's as good as the past iterations of it.
No.
At this point, I think the toughest thing for me is, are they going to get to the point where they can score 25 to 28 points in games? Because scoring seems to be such a big issue for them.
And it has been for like 2 years.
Yeah, it comes back to that offensive line sucks. Like,
and
they're
the skill
bad.
guys. Like, dude, like the last couple of years, the margins have been so thin. But you say 2 things there. The defense has taken a little bit of a step back. That's going to show itself then, and if you're only scoring X amount of points per game. But the other thing is, and like Kelsey has been a diminished version of himself. Like, everybody saw it, but that usually was showing itself in like his speed or his ability to get open. That drop on Sunday was one of those.
Yeah, I did not. I haven't seen this yet.
Dude, they're going in to score a touchdown. This is not a tough catch. It hits him in the breadbasket. It bounces off of his hands. The Eagles pick it off. And that moment, they would have taken the lead. And instead, then the Eagles were able to go up by 2 scores. And so, like, yeah, they lose by, 3 points? But they only lost by 3 points because they got a late backdoor touchdown at the end. Like, that's the stuff that's really tough. And I don't know if, when Rashee Rice returns, I don't know if everything is going to be fine, because even when he has been on the field the last couple of years, and I know he missed most of last year, like, this offense is just not what it was. And you and I have been talking about that for 2 years now on this podcast. Yeah. And so that's the thing. Like, if the margins have changed on defense where they are just a little bit worse, then it puts an expectation on the offense to be able to score more points. And I just don't know if they can. Like, Mahomes is running for his life on Sunday, trying to make plays, and he still is able to sometimes. But dude, do you remember that year for the Patriots? It was like a decade ago, maybe a little bit more, 2013, I think it was. And you're watching who Tom Brady is throwing it to, and you're like, who are these guys? That's how I felt watching the Chiefs on Sunday. Was I don't know who Patrick Mahomes is throwing it to right now. And that is going to be a problem over the course of a year in the AFC with all of the superstar talent that you have at the top of the league.
Yeah, I think the thing for me with the Chiefs is it just kind of sucks they're wasting Patrick Mahomes in this way. Like, think of another elite level quarterback that has had to slog through what's going to be 3 straight offensive seasons where it just is ugly as hell because they just don't have what seems like any real talent around him. Mm-hmm. I mean, even like, and I'm thinking of like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and Drew Brees and all of these, like, they, even when their teams weren't great, like, they still managed to have what seemed like dynamic offenses or put up statistically impressive stuff. What has Mahomes even thrown for in 2 games this season at this point?
Oh man, I'll look up his numbers real quick right now.
I feel like he hasn't. Yeah, he has 445 yards, so he's averaging 222 yards a game right now. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, his QBR is tremendous. Like, he's playing at a high level. It's just that he's the only one playing at a high level. Like, it's weird to watch a team like this that has this history of offensive dominance, and then their quarterback, who you also know is one of the best players at his position already ever in his career, and he has like no one on his level to play around. Like, Travis Kelce is rungs and rungs below. Xavier Worthy is a really fun Oz Hakeem War, like whatever. Like, just the guy who's nice like pull. The 3rd or 4th wide receiver that's really, really fast.
Yeah.
But he's not Isaac Bruce or, Torrey Holt or whoever. Like, I just, they've needed more for a while, and I don't understand like the roster building that they're going through right now.
It's very strange. It
doesn't make sense to me because I don't know why I keep going to Peyton Manning, but it's like every time that they had a different iteration change, like, he developed other receivers alongside of Reggie Wayne or Marvin Harrison but
And
now
hell,
I'm
even the
blanking
running
on who
game,
those
right?
are.
They had Edgerrin James, and then they
Mhm.
had was it Joseph Adai? Is that who they had
Yep.
after? Am I missing anybody in there? And yeah, they always had some really good combo. Whether it was Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne on the outside, they had the dude from Ohio State, the bald guy. What was his name? Who like slept in the hyperbaric chamber or whatever? They had him. He always had a solid tight end.
Yep.
That he was able to throw
Dallas
to.
Clark. Yep.
Yeah, and so like they were always able to do that, and now like. Dude, I'm looking at his career, and of course, his being Mahomes. He came onto the scene so strong with that 50 touchdown, 12 interception year, 5,000 yards in 2018. I'd forgotten that in 22 he had 5,200 yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 picks. And so, like outside of his second year as a starter when he was banged up and missed some time, he had 26-5 that year. It's 50-12, 38-6, 37-13, 41-12. Those are touchdown interceptions. But then 2 years ago, it was 27-14. Last year, it was 26-11. And so far this year, it's 2-1. It is very much changed. And it's not just Tyreek Hill, because 2022, he did not have Tyreek Hill anymore, and he still was able to throw 41-12. Everybody has gotten older around him. And the receivers, like, let's just say it, like they just have not done a good job at drafting and developing. Like I think Rashee Rice is solid, but he is not. He is not what any of the Colts guys that we just mentioned were, and hell, any of the Patriots guys. Outside of those really couple down years, certainly he's no Randy Moss, but even like the Wes Welker years that Tom Brady had, like he doesn't have any of those types of guys.
Is it too simplistic to wonder if Andy Reid just lost his fastball as a play caller?
It's an interesting question, man. It's a very interesting question.
It feels like we're now 2 years into this where they don't really have answers. Like you would think at some point you'd have something that can help spring things open in terms of the defense or whatever else. And he's one of the best coaches ever. So I don't want to take away from him, but at the same time, like it's kind of noticeable how they've slid into this point, and the league is full of offense too. I mean, granted, it just you see it, like different teams can do different things, and there's games that aren't heavily offensive right now early in the season, but it shouldn't be as hard as it's been these last couple of years when you have one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah. It's wild to watch because they are always on in prime time, and they're always on in the late afternoon slot. And man, I mean, hell, that whole game was a slog on
I
Sunday.
didn't really want to watch any of it. And then I'm like in a fantasy league, I'm heavily invested in the Eagles, and it's just not fun at all.
No.
I do not care for it. I will be putting Jalen Hurts up for trade and just seeing if I can get out of it, because it's not an enjoyable experience. It's just sitting around waiting for tush pushes.
It's wild that they have, like we just talked about the Chiefs offense, and then you look at the Eagles offense and you're like, I don't understand why this is broken, because they still have the receivers on the outside. They still have a solid tight end. They, of course, have Saquon Barkley. They have an offensive line that is still very, very good. I don't understand it. Now, they have a new coordinator, and so, maybe this is, what is this, the fourth or fifth coordinator in the last 4 or 5 years? Like, how much of it's that? And I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that they're being defended right now. It's very perplexing that a team that talented looks that kind of inept on offense so far this year.
Is it possible that these teams have played each other so much or know each other's personnel so much that like it's just you're going to get a wonky game from them when they're playing each other?
Because that would also explain the previous game too for Philadelphia, right? Like they're playing the Cowboys, and so like even with the new coaches, they're going to be a couple franchises that know each other. Well, that's interesting because now I want to look real quick at what the Eagles have coming up to see if it's a team that they don't really play a whole lot, and if we could learn something about them. Well, they're playing the Rams, and they played the Rams now. This will be the third time in like 10 months that they played them, and after that, the Bucs, another team that they have played a whole lot over the last few years, and then after that is finally the Broncos, a team that they'll only see once every 4 years. So that's it.
Those are three difficult matchups in a row for your defending Super Bowl champs, because none of those games are gimmies.
No.
And they all present their own kind of unique challenges. Maybe the Bucs the least of the three, but I'm still high on Tampa. So,
and you should be with Ibuka performing like he has so far through a couple weeks. Yeah, like the Rams, I think of those three teams, certainly the best coached, the best infrastructure of a franchise that they're going to play in the next three. The Bucs probably the most high-powered on offense and what they're able to do, multiple. And then the Broncos, now it's not in Denver, so they're not going to have to deal with the altitude, but the Broncos a very good defense, Though I think the takes on Bo Nix over the course of the offseason are aging pretty terribly so far. Everybody was expecting him to be the next Drew Brees, including his head coach. So, yeah, we're probably going to learn something about him, but I think that's an interesting theory from you. They played the Chiefs so much that maybe the game was going to kind of unfold like it did. I don't know. They just do not have the big plays so far this year. And that'll change because it is only September. And I keep reminding myself, like, what they were in January is because they had the month that preceded it. But I don't know, like, it's not going to be sustainable to not throw the ball to A.J. Brown, down the field. I heard a stat yesterday, Schaef, as we get ready to wind down. Jalen Hurts has not attempted a pass in the air yet of 10 to 19 yards this year. So it's all 10 or in or 20 or more. So, like, they're not attacking the middle of the field. And, like, that's insane to me, given the wide receivers and the tight ends that they have.
Yeah, that's weird. That is really weird. But before we go, I want to reverse what we did earlier. We did the 0-2 teams. Let's do the 2-0s. Tell me which ones won't make the playoffs.
Okay. So here are the teams real fast. Bills, Packers, Colts, 49ers, Cincinnati Bengals, Eagles, Chargers, Bucks, Cards, and Rams. Wow, there's actually multiple contenders here, Schaef. I think the most obvious one to go with is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Because of the
injury and the division. It's going to be, it's going to be tough. They got to play the Ravens twice. They got to play the Steelers twice. Yeah, I'll go with Cincinnati. It seems like you might disagree with me.
No, I think they're the most obvious of the 2-0s because I think everybody else, I think the Bills are going to win their division. I think the Colts could win their division. I don't know if the Chargers win their division, but right now they're 2-0 and they look like the best team in their division. So I have to kind of go with that. I think the Eagles will win their division. I think the Packers have a great shot at winning their division.
The Rams or the 49ers will win their division.
Yep. And I think the Bucks are going to win the NFC South. So it really only leaves the Bengals and the Colts. And here's the thing about the Bengals, I think the AFC North might actually be bad outside of really the Ravens. So can the Bengals tread enough water?
Interesting.
And just kind of get that 7 seed? Could they be the 7th seed out of the AFC? It's possible because if they can go 4-0 against the Steelers and the Browns and then find 5 other wins in there, one of which I think they already have against the Jaguars. Yeah, I mean, they could beat the Vikings this weekend, so then they're 3-0.
And they performed admirably a couple years ago when they had Browning. It wasn't like that turned into a completely lost season. They just didn't have their MVP caliber quarterback out there. Wait, one of the undefeated teams you did not mention there was the Cards. Do you give them a chance at all of doing anything frisky?
I did before the year. I'm so mad at how they didn't finish my cover for Pick'em the other day that they're in the doghouse for me. So
yeah.
Sorry, Cards. Here's the Bengals. The Bengals have the following teams on their schedule that could all be wins regardless of who the starting quarterback is. The Vikings.
Yep.
The Steelers. The Jets. The Bears. The Patriots. Dolphins. And the Browns again to finish the year in Week 18.
Wow, that's a lot. What was that, 5 or 6 wins that you just named right there if they're able to take care of business?
If they get 4 of those and then they're able to steal a game or two against one of the better teams on their schedule, I mean, they could be 9-8 or 10-7. I think Zach Taylor can keep his job for another year.
And hey, you know what could be fun, Schaef? They tread water, and then at the end of the year, we're like, should they stick with Browning? Should they stick with Browning going into the playoff? We can debate about things. That'd be so fun.
No, you just get Joe Burrow back, and then it's a 2-7 matchup, and Joe Burrow's the quarterback for the 7, and we can talk ourselves into it. I don't know who the 2 is in this scenario. Bills,
Ravens or Bills.
So the Chargers are 2. Everyone's fired up for the Chargers. They have their opportunity, and Joe Burrow crashes the party.
Wow, that sounds fun.
There's your scenario already.
And that is the National Fun League. Furls, as we get ready to say goodbye. Chiefs Giants is an atrocious Sunday Night Football game. To which Sam writes, Giants win by 7. Wow. Can you imagine the panic if the New York Football Giants beat the Kansas City Chiefs by 7 points on Sunday night? If that were to happen, Schaef and I will react to it all on Tuesday morning. Thank you for joining us on another edition of National Fun League. We do this each and every week. We were off on Sunday before the witching hour. That will return this Sunday.
Wow, Matt quit after 1 year?
No, it was
1 week.
Yeah,
1 week he's done.
I had to go all the way to Lincoln to do something with
no.
Jack. Yeah, it was terrible. It was a terrible way to start my day, having to drive to Lincoln can you imagine, Schaef, going to Lincoln voluntarily? Well, who would do
I mean, I
such a thing?
can. It sounds nice and delightful, but
Not on a Sunday morning when
you
wanting to
bailed
watch
on an
football.
I-80 podcast for another
Yeah.
I-80 podcast that you had to do in person.
No, it was more of a conversation that was unrecorded. It was a non-recorded podcast. It was just a conversation.
wow.
Yeah, unrecorded podcast.
You still have non-recorded podcast conversations?
Yeah. Can you imagine? You go to a coffee shop and you're not recording it. You don't have your microphones in front of you. It's very, very strange. So we'll be back week 3 because our teams play each other this week. So that'll be a good time to talk about the Bears-Cowboys matchup. 3:25 game, national television. Get ready for that.
Our team is in Matt's team.
Yeah, sorry. You and I, our teams play.
Yeah, our teams play each other, but not until December. It's like, we got a time jump in here?
No. Yeah. Very, very, very far away. So Matt and I will have that. We have a great group of shows and pods coming up this week. Volleyball State from Sunday is now available publicly if you want to check that out. Speaking of them, Schaef, they're doing a post-game show live and available to the public tonight.
Wow.
Half-ish hour after Creighton and Nebraska finishes up. So we hope that you check that out right here on the I-80 Club YouTube channel. We have an I-80 Live with Jack and me tomorrow. We have a I-80 football show coming up on Thursday. Big Ten Breakdown on Friday. 2 pods on Saturday, including the postgame show 8:30-ish, because I have to do Big Red Overreaction this week for Nebraska and Michigan. Plus, mentioned it earlier, Hypecast coming your way from the Husker 24/7 Podcast Network. Also, these guys, Schaef and Brunson, BC, they're doing daily stuff now as well. You can check that out. It's available on YouTube and also in your podcast feed. Plus, they're doing the usual stuff. So everybody's just adding podcasts. They just love talking into microphones on video and for audio.
We're just content creators. That's
and
all
you write
anyone
supposedly too sometimes. Is that still your job?
Allegedly, I have a writing job.
Wow,
Allegedly, I write a few things.
All right, perfect. So you can check all that out. Husker 24/7 Sports. Subscribe today. It is a great website. Plus, again, once you get past the free trial, you get Paramount Plus, which Schaef is the home this week of the Movie Club movie, which is Quiet Place Day 1. I haven't seen it. I heard good things about it, so I picked that. So that is available on Paramount Plus, among many other movies and TV shows that are available, including Review with Forrest McNeil. One of these days, I'll convince Mike Schaefer to watch it because he would find it hilarious.
I've watched a whole episode. I'm 1 episode in.
Wow. It's kind of like The Leftovers. You watched a whole season. You're a whole season in.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll get you to watch episode 2. Episode 3 of Review is maybe the funniest episode of television of all time. So I just got to get you to
That's
episode
3.
That's a
lie. You're trying. That's bait. That's bait.
Schaef.
That's what that is.
That's bait. You got to watch it, Schaef. You got to watch it. All right. Those are all the things. Did I miss anything, Schaef, on any of the plugs on the way out?
You're good.
All right. Perfect. For Mike Schaefer, I'm Josh Peterson. Thanks for joining us this morning on the National Fun League. We will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.